Oh, hi guys. Welcome to another episode of Faithcast. Today I'm going to be talking to Lisa. She is like a little sister to me, but we're going to start with name, age, what do you do?
Okay, I'm Lisa. I am 24, and what I say, I'm a student, I guess. Kind of.
Studying.
I'm studying health science, sport and exercise science, and I'm also working at JBro on the side.
So, just for this one, we'll just like do your testimony, and then when you come back around and we interview again, it'll be about your sports.
Okay.
Even though I know most of your testimony has sports in it, but we'll see where it goes.
Okay.
So let's start with, how long have you been attending New Life for?
Wow, okay. I think since 2019.
What churches did you go to before New Life?
I went with my family to the Uniting Church in Parramatta and Ermington. Yeah, that's about it, yeah.
And then nothing before that?
Oh, actually, there was a Filipino church before that, but I don't know.
Filipino church?
Yeah, it was just a random one in Doonside that my mum found through our neighbour. Yeah. And then, yeah, pretty much uniting for the rest of our lives.
You didn't go there for very long?
Not really. I don't remember what happened, to be honest.
So that would make it like teen years you were at Uniting?
Yeah. From primary school to teen. Yeah.
Did you go to Tyndale with all the rest of the young people here?
No.
What school did you go to?
I went to St. Patrick's Marist College, yeah. It was a Catholic school.
Was that hard?
It was just hard having to do the things that they did, like mass and prayers. That was a bit weird for me. But the school, it was just like a normal school, I guess.
So how often was mass and prayers then?
I think we had mass, prayers we had every day. And because I was one of the captains, I had to go up and actually read the prayer over the PA.
Wow.
Yeah, it meant nothing to me though because I didn't know what I was saying. I still remember it like it's a religious thing. Yeah, the prayers were every day, and mass, I think maybe once a month they would have a big mass with communion. And yeah, but then they would just have assemblies like normal school assemblies where they prayed and sung too.
So your family are Catholics or were Catholic? How did you end up at that school then?
It was just because I don't know, I think my parents thought that they were, because they're like known to be strict or something. Yeah, that's why we went
Keep you in line.
Yeah.
I get that. So then, how did you guys end up at New Life?
My sister, she went to Tyndale, and I think she went to Turning Point and met Glenn, and then started coming to the youth group first, and then she wanted to come to a church service. Yeah, pretty much that, and we went through her.
And then we met you at, what was that called? Explaining Christianity?
Oh yeah. Was it Explaining Christianity?
Yeah. Oh. That was so long ago.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So, prior to New Life, what did your relationship with God look like? Did you even have a relationship with God?
I mean, now that I have one, I can say that I didn't. Like, I thought I did. I did pray. Actually, no. I don't know now. Like, I don't know if it was as strong as it is now. Like, there was a relationship where it would be on and off. Like, I would pray sometimes, but I wouldn't rely on God. That makes sense. To, like, take control of my life, I kind of relied on myself a lot. But,
and then what happened? Because even when you came to New Life, was it still the same?
Yeah, so coming to New Life, I was convicted of a lot of things that a lot of my sins. But it was still hard because I was stuck in the world and stuck on the people, like my friends and a relationship that was in the world as well. And yeah, I would purposely push people away at church who were trying to get close to me because I knew I was doing the wrong thing, but I just didn't want to be told that I was doing the wrong thing. Yeah, because I knew what they would say, but yeah.
Like many other people.
Yeah.
So I specifically remember a conversation where we drove around Rudy Hill, to be honest. And it was after the sermon of, was it Stephen preached? And you got the whole gospel uppercut of you can't live in the world and live for God at the same time. So I never pushed then for you what that looked like, but now I'm going to push and ask you mentally and emotionally, what was that like for you to get because that was a big sermon to be convicted from.
Yeah. Well, I know, I don't know how to explain it, but I think just knowing that I was holding on to things in the world, it definitely, I just started pushing myself away from God because, like what Stephen said, you can't be on the fence because if you're on the fence, you belong to the devil pretty much. And I had a bad mindset. Like it was, if I'm here, then like, I don't know how to explain, but I was just weak. And I still relied on myself. And I knew I couldn't get stronger through like myself. So I just stayed in that spot. But it was very mentally like damaging. I know I was crying all the time, but I just felt like I didn't know what to do, even though the answer was right there. Yeah. I think I was just spiraling into sadness. I don't know how to explain it, but it didn't feel good at all. Like it just knowing that I was potentially going to hell because I was living in the world was scary and just sad at the same time, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really.
So another thing that came up through that conversation, and I'm not trying to expose you, I'm just trying to get you to share your testimony a little bit more. Because like I said, I do one-to-one with her, so I know quite a lot. Was the sin part.
Yeah.
And you were stuck on that for so long. Like, nah, I sinned. Now let's be honest. Literally, everyone is born into sin. Literally. And like, no sin is greater than the other, to be honest. As Christians, we are obviously called to not sin, but we're not super perfect like Jesus, so we're never gonna be able to live a life without sin. And I remember saying that to you all the time. But where I was going with that was, what made you get past that? It's okay, Jesus loves me. He loves me even though I did this.
You're gonna cut this bit out, right? Because I can't.
We'll see. It depends what you say.
I don't know. Now I don't know why I'm stuck. I'm getting nervous now. What made me realize that it was like, wait, say it again.
What made you realize that Jesus doesn't care about any sin? Like, he just loves you no matter what. Where was the turning point for you? When you were like, you're not, actually, I'm going to have a relationship with God. That's basically what I'm asking.
Well, trying to get me to say. I think, well, I know part of it was to stop comparing myself to other Christian people that I was around, because I would see them as perfect, and then I would think that I was like dirty. And also, I think when I started reading and realizing that that there were people in the Bible that also had sinned, but Jesus still forgave them, and he surrounded himself with them.
Mhm.
But
So this year, right, you've had some pretty big moments.
yeah.
And I'm going to take this time to celebrate them with you. Like one of them being you never actually wanted to read the Bible. Now
Oh yeah.
you can willingly and lovingly
Mhm.
read the Bible on your own. Which, when you got the text message, I literally rang Shannon. I was like, "Wait, the coolest thing just happened!" Blah, 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 blah. And that's big for you. So, why?
Why?
Mm.
Well, I realized that my relationship wasn't progressing. Like I didn't want to be the Sunday Christian that was just coming on Sundays and just listening and then going back to living the way I was every day. Because then I think every day also I would just feel lost, and then I was searching for God's will for my life.
Mhm.
And I think my sister told me that, and David had said to me that the only way I will know what God's will is for my life, or just God's will in general for everyone, is to read. Because when you read, you get to know God through, especially through the Gospels. Actually, every time I read, I would go to Genesis. I didn't know where I was reading. I did those ones where you just like
Open the book.
open the book and let the page. Yeah. But yeah, I also prayed to have the desire to read, because I was told to make it a chore and just put it in your list to read every day. But I didn't want to make it a chore, because I feel like chores to me are something. Yeah, it's not fun. It's something you don't want to do. I wanted to be able to want to read, so I just prayed to get the desire to read. And then one day I just started reading and I couldn't stop. Yeah.
That's super amazing. And then my next thing was you praying.
Oh yeah.
You're still a bit on the fence when we do it, but just to hear, like you just said, you used to get up and say read out a prayer and you didn't even care because it didn't mean anything to you.
Yeah.
But now I know that you're praying daily, like meaningful, thoughtful prayers for lots of stuff in your life and in your family's life. And it's cool to be able to sit with you and experience your prayers being answered. I wish honestly that I could just take my camera and record every single moment, like, look, your prayer got answered, this is how she reacts. Because that's super encouraging too. But Stephen just preached about, when he was saying, nah, it can't be true. I don't believe that. Do you have some moments like that with your prayers?
Yes. Especially recently. Not like, it's just more shock that it's happened. And I don't know why I'm still shocked that it happened, because the fact that I wake up every day is a prayer answer. Yeah. But yeah, things have been happening, and it has been a shock that the prayers have been answered, because sometimes things don't go well. Like it's, you can go through a tough situation and for some reason you just don't expect it to go well at the end. I don't know. I think it's like what Stephen said. We're not fully trusting the power of God and what He can do. But that's something that I've changed this week. My mindset on that.
Which is a prayer for me answered. So thanks for that. And then the last one is, I think it was last month, and I asked you, "Are you a Christian now?" And you said yes.
Oh yeah.
Which is really big. You've had 12 months of up and down, but for you, and you weren't even hesitant about it like you are with lots of other stuff. You're just like, yep. In my brain, I was like, oi, go run and tell Shane, but no, don't. Because she's having a moment, so just wait till she goes. But I'm so proud of you that you're now at that stage.
Thank you.
Where you can be like, yes, I'm a Christian, and proudly say, yes, I'm a Christian.
Yeah. I feel, definitely different mindset from when I first. Yeah.
So the viewers don't know. Well, some of them will know if they know you and they're from our church, but other people don't know. You actually were in a 7-year relationship with someone who was not a Christian.
Yeah.
How hard was that?
It was very hard. Yeah. Um, I think that was that was the cause of me sitting on the fence, because I knew that I was sinning whilst being in that relationship.
Mm.
But then I also wanted a relationship with God, and I knew that I couldn't have both things. But then I just felt like it was my responsibility to bring that person to God.
Mm.
And then I think by the end of it, I realized that it's not by my power, it's by God's power.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely a lot of the I don't know what to say now. It was the main reason why I did get convicted a lot, being at youth and being at church, just hearing sermons and hearing talks at youth too. And it would, yeah, I don't know how.
What does your conviction look like though? Like, because my
Well-
conviction is like, oh, that's me.
Well, for me, then now I'll be like, oh, that's me. Oh no, that's not good.
Yeah.
But back then I would be crying because I knew that I was dying to my sin, and I had nowhere, at the time I felt like I had nowhere else to go, and that I was stuck on it. And so I would just cry all the time, feeling sorry for myself. But yeah, that was my conviction. If you knew me back then, I was crying all the time. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All the time. Now it's rare to see you cry, which is great. So if you had some advice for someone that's like a Christian or is a Christian and is with a worldly person or a non-Christian, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, or someone who's just left a relationship like that, what would your advice be?
I can't just say don't do it. Obviously, that's the easiest answer. I think what I wish someone. No, actually, no. You did tell me all the time. No, like that. It's not on me, and it's not on you to change that person if you want to change that person. Or I think the one thing that I kept thinking as well is what's more important to me, my life after I die or this life now. Which everyone knows, when you die, none of this goes with you at all. So, and if you've just left it, it'll get better. Just wait. Trust me. I know.
I'm going to assume you know where I'm going with the next question.
I don't.
Okay. So you left that relationship and he started coming to church.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that was a bit messy for the whole church, to be honest. Well, anyone that was involved in your life and his life. But now, I think that, because what are we? Oh, we're like the 12th month of the year, duh. But he's been here for the whole year, and honestly, I would say in a worldly situation, that would have blown up.
Yeah.
Like, things would have gotten ugly. Everyone would have been involved to a certain degree. But to see you be mature about it sometimes, and to see him be mature about it sometimes, is a testament to God. For you to still be able to cohabitate in the same church and not death stare each other or like anything like that. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I just also think it's crazy, the fact that after 7 years, when I thought that I could bring him to church, like God answered everyone's prayers. Yep. And brought him to church.
Which is cool. And I think it's like a thing that people say, that God works in his own way on his own time. And we just have to witness that. So for you to go through that for 7 years and then him turn up here and then stay here, that's pretty big for you to be able to witness that God does actually answer prayers. Because I'm pretty sure you would have been praying that whole 7 years, right? Which is cool.
Yeah, definitely is. It really is, yeah.
So, my next question would be, what are you actively doing to serve God? Like to keep that relationship now that you have it?
Well, um, like with the church.
Whatever your serving capacity looks like.
Well, I don't know. I think right now I'm doing the coffee machine at church. What does serving look like?
Growing God's kingdom. Having fellowship with some people. Serving looks like whatever, honestly, as long as it's for God, not for any other reason.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to say the wrong thing. Would serving kind of be like... Okay, let me start again. Okay, well, right now I'm doing the coffee machine, which I do like to do at church, but I do want to do more things to serve. I want to eventually help in the women's ministry team, which I think will start up again next year. And I also want to... I want to change the slides in the church. Is that weird? I just want to press the button. It looks fun.
Oh, the data team?
Yeah. No. But I think I do also want to start doing one-to-one with some people, but only if they feel comfortable doing that with me. Yeah.
Which leads me to my next question. So a lot of people, I don't know if it's just this church or it's just all churches, because all churches have one-to-ones and prayer circles and like life groups and stuff like that, whatever they're called. Is that like a God calling thing for you to do one-to-one with people, do you feel?
Well, I mean, I feel like anything good does come from God, so I would say so, yeah. Definitely, because, I mean, I just want to share what God's done in my life, and I want others to see it. Like, if they're struggling with the same thing that I went through, I want them to know that they're not alone. Because I definitely felt alone because I pushed people away. And it's not easy to try. It's not easy when you're trying to grow your relationship with God, but you're not actively putting yourself out there to do that with someone who went through the same thing with you. Yeah. So I think if I did ask those people if they wanted to talk to me, they can. Or if they wanted to do one-to-one with me, I'd be happy to, because I don't want them to feel alone at all. Like, I don't want them to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
I think it's easier when you have someone, when you know that other people are there for you, then it's easier to get out of that situation. Because for me, I just felt like I had nobody. That's why I stayed in my...
Even though she did.
Yes, I did. I know I did, but I just kept pushing myself away from everyone, which wasn't a good thing. But yeah, that's why it was so much easier for me this year to grow my relationship with God, because I had you, I had my sister, I had, gonna name names, Emma, everyone, yeah. Just seeing everyone's support, so that's what I want to do for other people as well.
That's cool. That's winning. So I suppose like your testimony looks like, what does it look like to you before I say what it looks like to me?
Well, I don't know.
Lumped in a year, what does your testimony look like? Because it's literally only been this year where you've been all for God.
I don't know how to answer that.
Is it happy, sad,
Oh, yeah.
frustrating?
Oh, no, I think it's happy. Because, like, even though I did go through some things, I was always feeling joyful after. Even though, yes, I cried through it, I still felt very joyful after, because, like, I just knew that it's something Glenn says every time he does a sermon. What does he say again? What is it? I know what it is.
He says lots of stuff.
No, that's just one thing that he always says. It's the best is yet to come.
Yeah.
Yep, and I always remember that. Even when I'm feeling angry, I always remember that. Like, if God is for us, who can ever be
Mhm.
against us? And so every time I am feeling sad, or like with my whole thing happening this year, I know that the best is yet to come. So I'm feeling happy. So I
That's
think
good.
it's a good. Yeah, I think it's good. It is happy.
Definitely. I think like you've really landed on your feet this year, knowing that God's there for you first and foremost, and then everyone else follows, which is cool to see because your head now is clearer, and I can tell by the way you're talking and doing stuff. Lisa a year ago was not Lisa with a clear head. So, what does what does your reading the Bible look like? How often do you do that?
Well, I do aim to read every day.
Mm-hmm.
I have been a little bit slacking off lately, but I do read. I don't know, it would just be random books. Like I will go through one book at a time and I'll read a chapter a day of that book. Yeah. I have gone through Matthew, Mark, and half of Luke. And I'm also reading, what am I reading right now? Is it Hebrews?
Yeah.
And Romans again. Yeah.
Romans is where we started.
Yeah.
Romans is what gave you most of the uppercuts while we were doing one-to-one, I feel like.
It's still happening again. Just going through it again, yeah.
Quick side note, Romans is a really good book for someone that still lives in the world because its intended audience is for Romans, obviously, who are worldly people. So, and Paul breaks it down and it's just very unfiltered, cut straight to the chase. This is what's wrong, this is what's right, and you're doing the wrong thing. And even when we were going through Romans, you weren't the only one getting uppercut. So was I. I'm sitting there like, oopsie, my bad. Okay, we'll work on that. Has this? So when we do our one-to-ones, we do Swedish method. Do you still do that by yourself or with Ty?
No. I mean, we do go through the first two, which is like the ones that stood out to us, and just the question mark ones, which we'll look up or we'll go to the study part. But when I'm doing it by myself, I kind of just read it because I am reading the Gospels on my own. I'm just reading it to know about Jesus and what he did for me. Like just learning more about Jesus rather than trying to focus on what stood out to me, I think. But yeah.
So if you had some advice for someone who doesn't know where to start in the Bible, what would it be?
Well, everyone says to start in the Gospels. So
Which are
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Start in Matthew, but if you're going to start in Matthew, I went straight to 2 because I have read Matthew many times. I've started in the first one and then it goes through like the genealogy.
Yeah.
And obviously being a non-Christian, I was looking at it like, what is all these names?
Who are these people?
Yeah. But yeah.
If you don't know where the Gospels are, they're in the New Testament, just so you know. So they're basically written for non-Christians, or I don't know how to put it, like more modern Christians than the Old Testament, I suppose. The Old Testament's all about Moses. So if you haven't seen The Prince of Egypt, go and watch that. That'll shortcast the Old Testament and Judges. And if you haven't seen 300 with King Xerxes on it, go watch that because that's got Esther, which is in the Bible. There's lots of movies out nowadays that have the Old Testament covered, just not the New Testament. Just so you know. So I think a couple more questions. One is, actually this is a statement. So I've seen your life grow over the past year from prayers answered, like having a relationship with your sister again, which is really cool.
I forgot that was a prayer.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Lord.
Having a relationship with your dad, which is really cool, and it continues to grow. Being more present at church. I remember that was like ages ago.
Yeah.
So what you'll find out on her next episode is that this girl actually was never actually hardly at church because she always played sports on Sunday or went to watch her boyfriend on Sunday. How do you miss it?
No. Sport?
Yeah.
I mean, no, not now. I know before I had FOMO, like at the beginning of the year
Yeah.
or during the season. But now I don't, definitely not. And I
Because
have
it
to
was like
kinda-
intense, like training after training after
yeah,
training, and
yeah. I
then
was training like 4
games.
days a week, and then the game would be on the weekend. Which left I had no time for God pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think now that I want to get more involved with my relationship with God and with the church, I don't really care that much about playing the sport.
Yeah.
Like I know I will kind of miss it, but I just know that surrounding myself with people who aren't Christians, it's not really going to help my relationship with God either.
How long did you play for?
I think 6 years, maybe 5 to 6 years, kind of. While getting injured, so like
Yeah.
technically, if you mash it all together, it's like 3 years of actually playing.
So I'm just gonna expose you on this too. She's like Jean, super humble, like Jean's kids, super humble. She was actually a contract player at the beginning of the year. So if you don't know what a contract player is, that means that you actually get paid to play for the club that you're playing for, which is really big. You're playing union, eh?
Yeah.
In union in women's for Australia. Just so you know. Thanks for being super humble all the time. I like exposing people like that. So that like just that contract, right? What happened with it? Because you were injured this year, so you didn't really play.
Yeah, I mean, it was just the 1 year contract anyway, so it's
Alright.
okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna just say it, eh? I feel like that was God's plan for you to be injured all year.
It's
To be
still
honest.
injured. I don't know if you
Yeah,
can
see?
see the bruise on there. No.
So you like literally can't play anyway. So
No,
it's like
it's
God's
hard to walk
plan.
now.
Oh, my next question would be, what's the hardest thing that you've had to deal with besides your sin conviction stuff
Mm.
this year within your relationship with God?
Well, I know recently I've been feeling spiritual attacks,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. I know a lot of things are like it's like my past is trying to come back at me
Mhm.
a lot. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but there are some things and some people who are trying to pull me back into the life that I had before.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the thing that's the hardest, as well as I think possibly losing people or friends who don't see how good life with God is, or they think that I am too Christian. If that makes, I don't really know how to say it, but like, yeah, I think those are just the hardest things that I've gone through this year.
So these like
Pretty
friends
much.
that you went to school with?
Oh, yeah, I know. Like that's one thing. Actually, that's also very challenging too. Is just yeah, my school friends, they are very worldly. And I don't engage in those conversations anymore. And I think they may have noticed
Mm.
because a lot of the time they ask if I'm okay because I'm quiet. Usually I'm like a very talkative person. If you really know me, if I'm comfortable around you, I don't stop talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just hard to engage in conversations with them now because I don't find interest in worldly conversations
Mhm.
much.
So does that look like you walking away from them?
I think so. I think it might. It's just I'm not like totally walking away from them. I'm just not doing the things that they do. Like I'm not drinking,
Mm.
not having sex,
Mm-hmm.
and not talking about it as well. And I think when I do meet up with them, I am praying that God brings up an opportunity for us to speak, which is what happened last time I was with them,
Mm-hmm.
which was really cool. Which is the first time I've been friends with these people for 11 years, and not once have I ever shared my faith with them.
What?
And that one time that I prayed that God would open up an opportunity for us to speak about Christianity or to speak about God and
Yeah.
and my relationship with God, like it just opened up out of nowhere.
Bruh.
Yeah, that was the
See,
biggest.
that's how cool God is.
Exactly, it was crazy. That was one of my I can't believe this happened moments. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it's just like, yep, I'm here, Lisa. Just keep praying.
Yeah,
I'm going to keep
exactly.
following through with it.
Yeah.
That's cool. So for someone that's like, I don't know, I suppose that would affect more newer Christians,
Yeah, I
like
know.
newer converts.
Yeah, I know at the beginning of the year if I was because that happened on a camping trip when I went camping with them, and if that trip happened in the beginning of the year, which a trip did happen at the end of the year right before I did break up in from that 7-year relationship, I was living in the world and doing everything that they were doing, and then that would have happened. That conversation wouldn't have happened back then, which it didn't. Yeah, so I know.
So do you have some advice? Actually, I remember you asking me this question, so I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you have some advice with someone who wants to be a Christian? Like, you have to want to be a Christian,
Yeah.
obviously. You can't just be born into it. But they're still surrounded by their worldly friends or family, to be honest. And I just keep getting pulled back.
Well, I mean, it's the one thing I did was surround myself with more Christian people and become friends with people at church. And I think knowing that I had those friends because we were able to keep each other accountable with things. And I knew that I had them to speak to if I had questions or anything. And I think also just, well, for me, it was just learning more about God and reading more and praying more. Like actually involving myself and trying to build my relationship with God. Then it helped me like realize and discern that conversations that my high school friends were talking about weren't conversations that I wanted to be part of. I still hang out with them because it's like I thought about how Jesus sat with sinners, but he wasn't friends with them, like best friends with them. And wasn't hanging out with them 24/7, which I do love my friends still, but I'm not going to go see them every week or every day. Yeah. I think I seek advice now from Christian people because I want Christian advice, not worldly advice. That's also what I realized is that if I had asked advice from my worldly friends, I would get worldly advice. And if I asked advice from a Christian friend, I would get biblical advice, which is what helped. But you definitely need someone like Melissa at the beginning of your thing, like
Girl.
who won't give up on you. You need someone who won't give up on you, always question you and make you open up. So I think you were a big part, definitely.
That's because I had it done to me, that's why. Someone that held me accountable and was just like, nope. No, but like, nope. Oh, okay. And then I found when I was doing it too, I was like, bruh, I'm literally doing the same thing that I got done to me. And I honestly, I think it works, to be honest.
It definitely does. Yeah.
Because you and I are really similar. We like to learn things the hard way.
Yeah.
And we say, yeah, we know, but we're still going to go over here and do that just in case.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back and do what you told me to do. But that's God. Like, that's not, like, even for our one-to-one, that was a God thing.
Yeah.
Even though we had met, I don't know, like 4 years before,
yeah, we definitely, yeah, we
or
did.
something.
We,
And you
it
and
was a long
you and
time
him had kept
ago.
popping up like throughout Shane and I's lives for the whole 4 years, and then yeah, for us to be doing 1-to-1, it's a gold thing.
Yeah, that was actually, I thought that was crazy too, the fact that we did 1-to-1 a long time ago. It didn't last very long.
Yeah,
And then now we're doing 1-to-1 and it's happening regularly,
yeah,
which is what I was like, definitely another answered prayer
yeah.
that I was happy about.
You know, our whole 1-to-1 and your whole life is lots of answered prayers.
Yeah.
Not just on mine and your
Everything.
parts, like
Yeah.
lots of other people's parts too.
Oh,
Lots of
cool.
people check in with me to be like, is Lisa doing this? Or what's happening with Lisa? And I'm like, this. Oh, I prayed for that. Great. Good to know. Like, I feel like you are a prayer answered for. Well, like what you've become, not.
Yeah.
Well, yes, you obviously, but what you've become is a prayer answered. Because God's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, I feel like. Oh yes. Next up, next episode I think will be next year,
Mhm.
and then we'll talk about your sports, what that looks like, how you came about to what is it, sports science?
Oh, yeah.
Because though you've removed yourself from a sport team, you're still involved in sports, and yeah. Thank you. Goodbye.